Hello everyone, I hope you are fine. Well, it's my first video in English, so please forgive my bad accent. I do my best, but if it's not enough for you, you can turn the subtitles on. Weeks ago, I asked on my Facebook page which topics you would like me to talk about. Many asked me how to start historical reenactment, but I decided to open up the subject to how to start historical costuming because, in fact, reenactment is only a small part of what you can do with historical costumes. I decided to make 7 quick videos in order to give you some advice based on my experience. This one is the first one, and it's about the questions you have to ask yourself before starting. It's never too late to think about it. Even if you already started this hobby, I think it still should be useful for you. The first question is, do I have time and patience? Well, in fact, if you are already very busy with your job, your children, your friends, your family, and that you only have few hours once in a while for sewing, it's going to be complicated to finish your costume, and it's very demotivating. You might have to learn how to sew and the history of fashion. If you don't know anything about these two topics, it doesn't come easily and it takes months, maybe years to get the knowledge you will need to have for making historical costumes. Will you to have time to make searches about material and techniques for each costume? It's a real question, as you will have to do it every time you will start to work on a new costume. Will you have time for creating the costume itself? Because it takes months to make one, and it takes all your free time, all your weekends doing nothing else than sewing. Do you agree with this sacrifice? For real? Please keep it in mind. Is it possible for you to work quietly? Because for creating a costume, you need to be focused on what you are doing if you want to make a good job. So, if you have time and patience, then you can think of creating your own costume yourself. Otherwise, I would advise you to avoid sewing and buy your costumes to a professional historical costume designer. You still can make your own accessories or finish or embellish the costume you will buy. It will lower the price and you will have the feeling to be part of it. So maybe it's a good thing to do. The second question is, do I have enough money? Because in fact, historical costumes is a very expensive hobby. If you want to sew by yourself, you will need to buy many stuff, material and supplies. I will talk about it in next videos because it's a very important matter. If you have to buy your costumes, you will need to spend more money in it. And of course, the most amazing is always the most expensive. Once you will have your costumes, of course you will need to go to events to wear them. But planes, hotels and events, they cost a lot of money too. For example, some balls cost between $200 and $500 each, just the event. So if you are wealthy, I would say welcome aboard, because there will be no major issue for you to practice historical costuming. But if you don't have that much money, then I would advise you to start with simple costumes, maybe fall costumes, for events that are not very far from your home. If you can become a servant, some groups make lower prices if you can give them a hand. That can be a solution for starting. Or if you want to attend to lavish events, you will need to start saving money. The third question is, do I have enough space? Do you have an extra space for your material and supplies? Because a sewing machine, mannequins, fabrics, all of this take many space. And do you have space for creating the costume itself? You cannot do like the lady on the painting. You will need space, you will need a workshop with a big table to cut your patterns, for example. And don't forget that it will be a mess everywhere you are going to sew, even if you try to clean things very often. And will you have a space to store all the costumes you have once finished? Because some costumes are quite wide and might have big hats or huge wigs. So if you have an extra room to create your workshop, that's just perfect. Otherwise, try to make smaller costumes, think to sell your whole costumes to save space, and most of all, be sure that the people you are living with are okay to live with all the mess that you will be doing. Be careful with their safety too, because you will lose many pins and needles all around you, and it will become dangerous for your relatives and your pets. So please keep it in mind. The fourth question is, does it worth it? What are your motivations? Please take 2 minutes to think about it, grab a piece of paper and a pen and write down everything you need to have fun while doing historical costuming. Take a look at this paper from time to time just to be sure that the hobby brings you more good things than bad things. And please don't do it to be the best or to be famous. It's not a good motivation. Will you have the occasion to wear your costumes? Because if you are living in New Zealand, it will of course be difficult to wear your costumes. If you are a woman, be aware that many groups do not accept women anymore because they have too much of them, or because it's military groups. Will you have the energy to battle for being able to wear the costumes you like? It's a real question. And will you like the world of historical costuming? I will make a video about it because it can be very complicated to be part of it. It's full of amazing people, dangerous, sweet or toxic ones. Well, it's like real life in fact. But as the historical costume can make you dream, it can turn into a nightmare. That's why it's better to know where you are going to step in and be sure that you will like the historical costuming before spending a lot of time, money or energy in it. I would advise you to try before, maybe by renting a costume as a start. The last question is, can you avoid to harm yourself? It's a very important question because one day you will compare yourself to someone else, some nice people with awesome costumes, and you will feel so miserable. So please, if it happens, remind you that this person maybe does costumes since decades. You cannot be as good as she or he is in few months, and maybe that this person have much more money than you have. There will be no miracle. Owning a sewing machine that makes embroideries, using expensive fabrics and wearing antique jewels will give better results than using cheaper stuff. Do not forget either that people are cheating. We often show you great pictures on which people are nice and glamorous, but don't forget that a photo shoot is not reality. A dress can be closed with horrible clothespins at the back, and the shape of the skirt can be given by people under the skirt. It's possible, it's a photo shoot. Photoshop does miracles too. An horrible costume can become so nice thanks to this tool. So always keep it in mind, never compare to others. Last topic is, how do you deal with failure? Because you will fail some costumes and you will be bored to some events, that's for sure. Remind that failure doesn't exist, it's just tries that did not success and that you learned many things thanks to them. It's too possible that a new scientific discovery throws everything you knew about historical costumes down. You will be challenged, so are you okay with that? If it rises your spirits, then it's perfect. Otherwise, it could bring you bad feelings, so it's better to think twice about it before starting. It was the 5 important questions you have to ask yourself before starting historical costuming, but I really do think it's never too late to ask yourself these 5 big questions, and maybe it can help you to enjoy historical costuming better. Keep them in mind and maybe watch this video again from time to time to see where you are with them. On my next videos, I will talk about the material you need to start. As it's a big investment, it's better not to waste money in useless stuff. We too will talk about supplies, about the techniques, without many details. It's just for you to know what is possible. After that, I will talk about the kind of historical events. We often think of reenactment, but there is much more opportunities to wear your historical costumes than just a reenactment. I will to talk about the universe of historical costuming. It's quite particular, so it's better to know few things before stepping on it. To finish, I will talk about the history of fashion, just for you to have the basics. Well, it's over for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please do share it. Tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, which topics you'd like me to talk about later. Thanks per advance, and still I'm sorry about my bad accent. I hope it was okay for you, and goodbye, take care.